Hey everyone. Okay, so I guess to start off with this chapter, I gotta applaud Mashima for the masterful troll at the beginning. Like, he knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, people like me would dissect and overanalyze that final moment from last chapter until we were blue in the face. And at the beginning of this chapter, he wastes no time in completely subverting the entire scenario by revealing the whole thing was just a scene being filmed for a movie, which in itself also leads to a reunion with a whole bunch of other familiar faces. So not only is it a great way to completely flip the script on expectations, but it was probably the smoothest way I've seen in this reunion arc so far to reintroduce characters into the story. The only criticism I honestly have about this is Mashima. What did you do to my boy Goodwin? You turned him into a discount Nietzsche. Why couldn't you leave him alone? He was perfectly fine as the big buff but lovable cat guy. Like, that does feel like one of the biggest downgrades I've seen like Mashima give a character, and like, again, I hope it's only temporary because I want to see the big guy again. Like, seriously, like why'd you have to turn him into an X-Seed, Mashima? He just looks like every single one of your cat characters now. Like, please let the guy be big buff, big buff but lovable Goodwin, please. But okay, once moving on from that, though, we learned through Laguna that a lot of events experienced in our world that were perpetrated by Ziggy, like the robot operating on Foresta, in this world were not only orchestrated by Zenolith, but that he's also the one responsible for, as we learn, Foresta's complete destruction. Like, Foresta in this world is the title Vanishing Planet, is the title planet in the Vanishing Planet title, and yeah, Zenolith completely destroyed the damn thing. And honestly, after taking in all this information, the one thing I take away from this is that I think it's fair to say Zenolith is going to be a one-for-one stand-in for Ziggy, in the sense where, in the same vein that the Edens 1 corrupted Ziggy, I think the same thing has happened to Zenolith. I can't say with certainty, and maybe it's Mashima going down the route of just making him pure evil now, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mashima went down the route of saying, yeah, Zenolith is the one who's been corrupted by the Edens 1. That's the way I've looked at this thing right now. Of course, the chapter ends with Shura being formally introduced in the plot, and I do gotta admit, although I applaud Mashima for the subversion with Laguna, it does kind of beg the question of what is the biggest change or difference with Shura this time around, because the only thing I can parse right now, at least from the way Laguna describes his actions, is he's less reckless and I guess more methodical in his actions, which, contrary to what Shiki thinks, is only going to make him even more dangerous, not less so, which again leads me to believe that for right now, until we can figure out what's going on, Shiki, you have got to stop with the hopeful idealism right now about being friends with Shura. You gotta leave all that shit at the door, Shiki, because otherwise Shiki's gotta leave all that shit at the door, because otherwise he really will get people killed. Even if Shura isn't as bloodthirsty as before, like, Shura is, from what we see so far, is still very much a threat, and if he's any sort of like the threat that even if he's less so a threat than he was in our world, like, he's still a threat and he can still get people killed. And honestly, even if it's just wishful thinking on my part, I'm hoping this is a chance for the lesson to be hammered home big time for Shiki. You don't even, like, that he needs to take this seriously. He can't just go around saying, I want to be friends with you. Like, I know he's on this whole thing of trying to rectify mistakes he thinks he made in the past, but sometimes it's kind of, you kind of need to actually, you need to fight first before you even consider the make friends thing. You need to beat them down a little first. And honestly, you don't even, and in terms of like, and I'm really hoping this is a chance again for that lesson to be hammered home big time for Shiki. Like, for me, you don't even really need to kill anyone. You just need to show that Shiki's little moral mission is gonna put lives in danger if he doesn't take this seriously. Because so far, he's being way too lenient and way too reckless. And if Mashima, I'll be honest, if Mashima lets if Mashima lets Shiki get off scot-free with that whole thing, like, again, just repeating the same thing that he did by just repeating the same exact thing he did with he did with Dragon Joe, then I'm sorry, but any review I do towards that narrative decision is going to turn into a rant. Like, I'm sorry, it is going to happen. Like, I get the idea of what Mashima's trying to do here, but he's turning Shiki right now into a bit of a fool, into an idealistic fool. Like, don't get me wrong, I get he always was that, but in some ways there was always that thing where Shiki would always be grounded in the real, in like real scenarios, and that needs to happen again. It hasn't happened yet in this Universe Zero thing, and it needs to cost him something. Having that mentality right now needs to cost him something. I don't know, like, something just needs to happen. Something needs to break. And I'm hoping this is Mashima's doing that. But okay, moving from that though, and the last thing to address, one thing that's brought up through the conversations among the Starshines by Valkyrie is the possibility that the Eden's One's body wasn't entirely made from scratch. That even if it was created by the system by the machine system on Lendard, it was the body of the Eden's One was actually based off a model of some other robot or some other machine. And I mean, there's definitely, if you look at it from that perspective, there definitely is influences from Ziggy, but again, it makes you say, what other models, other than Ziggy, what other models could he be talking about from? Because the only other ones that come to mind as a possibility is one of the Knights of the Dancing Sakura, but from what we see from the statues, there's not much of a resemblance there, so I don't know of any other possibilities of what they could be of what Valkyrie is talking about here. Like, it's if there isn't any other, we haven't been shown or haven't been told that, I think, yet. But no, but yeah, it's like, who else could it be? That's the big question, I guess. But yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and with Crunchyroll, be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.